Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Alhamdulillah, I'm very, very happy to be here today. Basically, it's old friends, former students, university colleagues, fellow activists in the NGOs. That makes me happy, and although at first I thought of having this launching by inviting someone, a VIP, to launch the book, but for a number of reasons I opted for this kind, very, very simple book launching. It's not easy around this time, end of December, to have people to have a special guest to come here. So I thought, well, why not I invite people representing various organizations with whom I have worked before. Not every organization was there, but at least 5 of them were there. And as presented here, IAIS, Malaysia, ABIM, the Islamic Academy of Science, short form of ASASI, Pusat Dialogue, Center for Dialogue, and of course, Islamic Book Trust. I think they have promoted. I think I have made my right choice. They promoted my book here, except Haji Kuti. I think he was speaking more about his IBT instead of my book. Well, alhamdulillah, I hope I don't mind standing here, saudara-saudari here, brothers and sisters, friends, the London, the good old days London, and from London students here, number here, including Tan Sri, of course at that time, the 60s, we were different kinds. And then of course, Haji Mustafa Ma, Datuk Haji Mustafa Ma, the students who spent their time in London. He was working as the officer, and then so the ABIM, Islamic Academy of Science, and so on. Basically, those organizations educated me, taught me. I learned from them in the sense that it has something to do with the book that I wrote. Many of the materials contained in the book have been associated with my teaching, with my research, seminars, conferences related to those organizations. I thought in conjunction with the launching of the book, I would like to say something. I would like to say something not just related to the book, but more important here, to talk about a subject, Islam and the future of human civilization. Why? Why do I want to talk about Islam and the future of human civilization? For many reasons. For many reasons. Here we are talking about us, Islam. I just want to talk Islam and the future of civilization. So I prepared roughly some slides. I don't think I'll be able to go into details, given the time that we have. But what I would like is to invite you to do some reflection. There are certain messages which I would like to share with you all. Many of us here already belong to the generation, the 60s, the 70s, I mean the age. We are in, some of us. So for Dr. Azam to say that, to call me father, I feel very, very old. But Dr. Azam, I refuse to be old. I don't mean physically, but at heart. At my heart, my mind, I want to continue to deal with the various issues which concern the young. The future of human civilization. Whose future? It's not just the future of Muslims, but the future of the whole humanity. But we are part of that. The future of our children, of our grandchildren. And then we're talking here about the relation between Islam and that civilization, and that future civilization. Of course, the book talks about the contemporary, Islam and contemporary, Islam and the classical Islamic civilization, Islam and contemporary civilization, but now we are looking forward to beyond, today, tomorrow. And when we deal with the future, as Muslims, we should first bear in mind, always bear in mind that the future belongs to Allah Ta'ala. The future belongs to God. No matter, notwithstanding the freedom that we have as human beings, we are, of course, we are grateful to that freedom that Allah Ta'ala gave us. But let us not forget that there is such a thing as a divine history and human history. Divine history is what the Quran calls Ayyamullah, the days of God. That's what the Quran says. In other words, there is a divine historicism. History is not just shaped by human beings, but ultimately shaped by Allah Ta'ala. There is, of course, Ayyamul Insan, the days of man, the days of human being, the human history. But as history tells us, what has happened and what will happen is the meeting point, is the result of the meeting point between divine history and human history. Human history cannot be totally independent of divine history. And that's why what Islam calls eschatology. Eschatology, el-ma'ad, the science of the return of all things to God. We shall not lose sight of that when we talk about the future. And we have a message to tell our children and grandchildren that when in facing the future, let us not forget the owner of that future, Allah Ta'ala. Well, I thought 50 years ago, 30 years ago, yeah, when we were in, when I was involved in the KMUK in London, involved in, we asked this, that's a very, very simple question, what is Islam? We thought that we didn't have to answer again this question, yeah? What is Islam? But what happens around us tells us we have to keep on asking, what is Islam? Because there are always people who don't understand Islam. And here I'm talking here also about Muslims who are born Muslims, who know very little about Islam. How can we talk about the future of human civilization if we don't know what Islam is? But as I go and talk briefly about all these things, my approach here for this particular talk is a kind of commentary, on the various problems that exist around us. So when I choose certain words, there are reasons. There are good reasons why I choose words as you find them here. I have calculated, I have really evaluated what kind of word? So first, it said Islam, the objective truth and reality. Islam, first to talk, what's Islam? First, I want to refer to Islam, the objective truth and reality that is mentioned in the last verse of the Quran to have been revealed. The general view is that verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, part of that verse, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakumul Islam madina. Today I have perfected your religion and completed my favors unto you and chosen for you Islam as your religion. This is the Islam that I call the objective Islam, the objective truth and reality. This is Islam as described by God himself in the Quran, not described by man, as described by God himself in the Quran. God's words. These are God's own words. Therefore, independently of human thought, of human thinking, of human invention, of human imagination, because there are many levels of objectivity. Academics know, social scientists know, they talk about objectivity, subjectivity. There are many levels of objectivity, but the highest level of objectivity is Islam as revealed by God, independent of man's whims and fancies. It is not bounded by space and time, not exhausted by all of its interpretations that have been made throughout its history. It outlasts and survives us. It is greater than all of us. We'll go from the first. The Quran survives. Islam survives. That I call the objective truth and reality. Islam, that is objective, here it serves as our ideal. It guides us, but also judges us. It is the criterion of truth and falsehood, of good and evil. This is Islam, the objective Islam. This objective Islam is also will be a religion of the future. And this is very important. Islam is a religion of the future. A corollary of Islam as the last divinely revealed religion. Let us reflect deeply what it means. What does it mean to say that Islam is the last religion? It means no matter what is going to happen to the world, till the end of the world, Islam has a special message. Islam has something to say to humankind, precisely because we are a future, there's no other message, there's no other divine message after the Quran. So let's keep that in mind, that objective Islam. And precisely because of the presence of this objective Islam, we are able to respond to all kinds of these modern theories about historicism, that Islam is historical, is historically determined. The content of Islam is purely determined what happens in history. But Islam, the revealed religion, that is, in a sense, meta-historical. It is meta-historical. It's beyond also history. Now, Islam, the revealed religion, is subjectively realized, either individually or collectively, which we all, this is Islam as understood and practiced by us. Islam as understood and practiced by Muslims. The subjective realization of the same truth can be many and diverse, without they necessarily contradicting each other. The same Quran, the same Sunnah, especially the Quran, the same Quran. Yet, there are many, in terms of the subjective realization, many. We have many schools of thought, we have many madhahib, we have many, in a sense, groups of Muslims, but we should always bear in mind, not reducing ourselves, not reducing the truth of Islam to what we as a group believe. There may be many things that in the Quran which are there, which we as individuals, as groups, are not able to realize them. But there are other groups of Muslims. So I think this is important, that there can be many interpretations without meaning that those interpretations are contradictory to each other. It is possible that all interpretations are true, or some of the various interpretations are true. I think this we need to reflect. If we look at our society, global society, the Muslim society, because the tendency is only to believe only what we think is right, and others are not right. So interpretations may come and go. Schools of thought may come and go. But the point is, diversity is going to be the norm. Schools of thought cannot be eradicated. We cannot eradicate plurality of interpretation, because that is the nature of things. So much so that we have people who want to, those who are anti-mazhab, there is no mazhab, the doctrine of the Prophet. Let's go to the time when let us go to that era when there was no mazhab. But because that goes against the nature of things. So the very person the very group who wants to eradicate mazhab ends themselves by creating a new mazhab. Yeah? That is the nature of the thing. So that doesn't mean that we must now, let us all go back to time. No, they're going to the nature of things. Yeah? The best symbol to represent Islam, Islamic civilization is a tree. The symbol is a tree. It has its roots, it has its trunk, it has its branches. Anybody who wants to cut all this, all the branches, all the trunk, and go back to the roots, no, it's not going to work. It's going to work. So let us live as branches of the same tree. Let us educate ourselves to be branches of the same tree, contributing to the whole tree. I think that's better. So interpretations may come and go. Schools of thought may come and go. Yes. And there's no reason, or it is a possibility that even some of the old schools of thought may be revived today and tomorrow. But one thing we can emphasize, the best understanding and the best practice of the objective Islam is that of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That we know, that we affirm. Yeah? The best understanding, the best practice of the objective Islam is that of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now, because we introduce concept, the objective Islam and the subjectively realized Islam, therefore there's a gap. We have to talk about the gap between the ideal Islam, the ideal and objective Islam, and the humanly realized Islam. Well, in terms of in sense of the identity, first of all, let's say the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, since his understanding and practice is the best. Well, we know from hadith, and the Prophet is the walking Quran. When we know very well that the akhlaq of the Prophet, the ethics and morality, the portrait, the spiritual portrait of the Prophet, the spiritual moral portrait of the Prophet is none other than the Quran, as affirmed by Sayyidina Aisha radhiyallahu anha. Yeah? So the Prophet is the perfect role model, also mentioned in the Quran. He is the uswa hasana for believers of all times, not one particular time. So he's the perfect role model, and then he is the perfect embodiment of the ummah. The Prophet himself is the ummah. This is something which some of the younger students may not realize that. Yeah? So the Prophet is not simply an individual. He was an individual. but he is also an embodiment of the whole ummah. He represents the whole ummah. His identity is the identity of the ummah. And that is a very important thing. Yeah? So he defines the ummatic identity. This I discuss a lot in my book. You can read the question of identity of the ummah. Yeah? Because what is our identity? Our fundamental identity is La ilaha illallah, unity of Allah, and Muhammadur Rasulullah. That defines our identity. The rest are all corollaries of this fundamental identity. So the Prophet is the perfect embodiment of the Ummah. Yeah? He defines the Ummatic identity. The best of his Ummah is of his generation. Also based on Hadith. Yeah? The best of the Ummah is of his generation. Now, in the life and thought of the Prophet, the objective Islam and the realized Islam coincide. The two forms of Islam coincide. In the lives and thoughts of other individuals, right from the companions of the Prophet until us today, yeah. So the gap between the objective Islam and the realized Islam varies, both at the individual level and the ummatic level. So spiritually and morally speaking, the gap between the Ummah of the Prophet's generation and the Ummah of subsequent generation appears to be progressively widening. So concept of progress here is different. The way we have been taught, the way we have been educated, the way we have been influenced by the media and so on, the way we have been influenced by the biological theory of evolution, the theory of progress, the idea of progress in the modern West, it is progressive. We are going better and better human beings. We are becoming better and better. Tomorrow will always be better than today. That is the assumption of the modern West, but not based on the tradition, same tradition. Because the criteria of progress, the main criteria of progress is not material, it's not technological, not scientific, it is spiritual and moral. That's why the Prophet said, "Khairu ummati qarni." The best of my ummah is of my generation, then of the next generation, then of the next generation. It stopped there. 3 generations, almost 100 years. Study what happened in the first 100 years of the ummah and compare to the rest of the 100 years. Yeah. Well, I don't have to answer here. Yeah. But in other words, yes, it is true in terms of science, in terms of technology, for a particular set of criteria of, it is possible to speak of the golden age of Islamic science, Islamic philosophy, Islamic literature, around 9th century, 10th century, 11th century. After Al-Ghazali said, then decline. Yeah? Because that's another level of measuring, evaluating our progress. But when it comes to the actual thing about the quality of society, the quality of the ummah, we just reflect ourselves. Are we better off? Are we better in quality in terms of the human values? I don't know. I mean, this is something that I also discussed in the book, because it seems that tomorrow is going to be not better, but worse than today. It's controversial to some maybe, but let us reflect upon that. But then, if you believe in that, then what? Just sit down and relax and, enjoy yourself, whichever way, What is our choice? Well, I think there are many hadiths referring to different contexts, how we should respond. Yeah? once said, even if you know tomorrow is going to be the day of Qiyamah, and you are in the midst of planting, then carry on planting. So as the case may be, carry on writing book. Yeah? Carry on writing book. Never mind who's going to read the book. Never mind. But the point is, so Dr. Osman, you can just carry on. I mean, with your, yeah, that's it. Because we have a duty. The point is, yeah, that is eschatology. Eschatology says, yeah, the days are getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah, because we got there is hadith also which says that finally the day of Qiyamah. Why? Because there is nobody, not a single person anymore who invokes the name of Allah. So the purpose of the existence of this world is no more. There's no more justification for the earth, for the world to exist, because nobody anymore wants to remember Allah. Yeah? So that's why I say when we talk about the future, in light of what is, it's a different kind of setting, different kind of setting. Some souls may be revolting. What is this person talking about? Yeah? We believe that we are, no, believe me. Just the Americans say, we believe in technology. Technology is our Sharia, they say. Yeah? You know that? Americans say, technology is our Sharia. Just as you Muslims say, you apply the Sharia, like a magic wand, all problems of human society is solved. Another kind. But then we have the Americans say, well, we believe in technology. Given time, we'll be able to solve all these problems. We can stop you from aging. Yeah, that's what they're doing, the technology. How to stop us from aging. Always to look beautiful and young. Yeah? We can send people to outer space and so on. So basically, yeah, that's the thing that we think. Then the role and duty of the Ummah of each generation is to live as close as possible to the Ummatic ideal as exemplified by the Ummah and the Prophet generation. This is the thing that we hold to in whatever age we live. How far we are. We are separated in time, 14 centuries, from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. But we want to be close to that era because the best human being was there, and the best Ummah was there to serve as example and inspiration. So, reminder, no individual or group can claim the exclusive right to be the representative, the spokesperson, or the defender of Islam. Only the whole Ummah can. Only the whole Ummah. And then, whether as part of or as the whole Ummah, let us undertake a self-appraisal, muhasabah, in the light of the Prophet's Ummatic ideal, so that we can hope to shape the future of human civilization. So what I'm saying, if you want to talk about how Islam can shape the future of human civilization, we need to be mindful of this. As believers in God's last message to humanity, Muslims have more rights than anybody else, and also more responsibility to play the role of the main shapers of future human civilization. Why talk about human civilization and not Islamic civilization? I heard some question. Yeah? Why Professor Osman wants to talk about human civilization? We have problem with Islamic civilization? Not enough problem? Well, how do I respond to this question? I say the two concepts are equivalent. The two concepts are equivalent if we understand them. That's one way of responding to that this question. The word Islamic has both universal and particular meanings. The universal meaning implies that the Ummah build a civilization not just for itself, but rather for the whole of mankind. Because the word Islam is both universal and particular. As universal one, that word refers to all the prophets, the followers of the prophets, all the Ummah before Prophet Muhammad SAW. In fact, that Quranic verse, Inna deen indallah Islam, as contained in the tafsir of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He said that Islam in that verse refers to the Islam of all the prophets, not just the Islam of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can refer to Ibn Abbas tafsir. Yeah? Because although the Quran says the only religion before God is Islam, but then the form of that Islam varies from prophet to prophet, because the form refers to the Sharia. The Sharia of Prophet Musa alayhi salam is not the same as the Sharia of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Certainly we don't know what the Sharia, but the point is every prophet was given shir'ah and minhaj. Shir'atan minhaj. It's a spiritual way as well as the Sharia way. Now, even when we talk about Islamic civilization, it contains that. Yeah? So we are concerned with human civilization. Classical Islamic civilization was witness to a societal partnership among Muslims, Jews, and Christians in the construction of a common civilization. Well, we mentioned Muslims, Jews, and Christians in the case of the Middle East, in Spain, but in China, it must have been something else. Yeah? In China, there were many Muslims. The fact that centuries ago, Islam was accepted as one of the national religions of China, alongside Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, Islam. Christian came later. Yeah? So, in other words, there has been a lot of interaction. And we all know, the students of China, students of Islam in China know very well. The golden age of Islam in China was during the Ming dynasty, especially that was associated with Cheng Ho. Yeah? And not much is done except for my student here, Isama here, who's doing PhD on the golden age of Islamic astronomy in China. Yeah? Because we only look to the West, we never look to China. Well, at least not until recently, yeah. But the point is that, especially Spain, because many Westerners now have a kind of nostalgia for Spain. So one of the chapters of my book is the golden age of Islamic science in Spain. Yeah, there are many Western academics who take Andalusia under Islamic rule as a kind of source of inspiration for many people today, certainly in Spain in particular. So Muslims, Jews, and Christians constructed a common civilization under the intellectual and political leadership of Islam. They accepted Islamic intellectual leadership. They accepted the political leadership. So the role of Islamic universalism there was the role of Islamic universalism, not Islamic particularism. Islamic particularism cannot lead the world. That's very important. If we want Muslims to lead others, we have to appeal to the best of our tradition, to the best of our teachings, not sectarian. Sectarianism cannot lead. Particularism cannot lead. To emphasize why we should discuss this. Well, to emphasize the point that the Muslim mind could be as universal as realities or situations demand it to be. And the kind of stereo that we Muslims cannot think big. Well, the Muslim mind, at its best, at their best, I mean, they were very universal indeed. Yeah? So the Muslim mind ought to understand that the future of Islamic civilization is closely intertwined with the future of the rest of human civilization. The Muslim mind ought to be concerned with contemporary human civilization in the light of the civilizational teachings of Islam. All those words, right from the word deen, the civilizational teachings of Islam. What does deen mean in terms of civilization? Yeah? What does ummah means in terms of civilization? What's the term, the term of tamadun, or in Malay say peradaban, all this, yeah? Umran, we just talked about Ibn Khaldun. These are all various dimensions of civilization, which are all related to religion. So my colleague here, expert in Ibn Khaldun, Dr. Said Farid Al-Atas, he has come out with a new book about Ibn Khaldun, so alhamdulillah. And also is to emphasize the point that the messages contained in the objective Islam are meant for the whole of humanity. This is our responsibility. So the Quran talks about three main groups targeted for receiving the Quranic messages: the believers, the mu'minun, the believers in, of course, the believers in the Islam of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, then the people of the book, Ahlul Kitab, and the human family as a whole. Now, this particular last one, the human family as a whole. I think there are 27 different verses in the Quran that are addressed, Ya ayyuhan nas, addressed to mankind. So, you know, I mean, which means this, we Muslims have a responsibility, a duty, to invite them to the message of the Quran. This has implications. Have implications for the current debate in our country about the use of the name Allah. Yeah? We are invited. The Quran says to us, invite human to Allah Ta'ala. Invite them to Allah. So, but there are difficulties and challenges. Question, I don't want to go into that, but the point is, I told some people, my comment on the current debate of the name Allah, let us not get bogged down, never progressing, just reducing the debate, the discourse to question of right. This is my right. This is our collective right to use Allah, and collective right, not the collective right of another. Until when? Should we be just, it's kind of inconclusive thing. Let us go back to the Quran. And this is one of them. Now, what do we need to do? Let us invite humanity to Allah, and then think about what is the implication of this. And then another question here. When it comes to right, no. Allah, this is Allah's name. Allah gives the name to us. Allah gives the name to us. Yeah. Allah's precious gift to humanity is His name, Allah. What should we do with the name? This is a question. That is the next level, the higher up level of this discourse. You have the name, what do you do with the name? What do you do with the name? My point is, I don't want to say yes or no, can I use or not, or not, but I would like to bring the debate to something higher, yeah, to more enlightened, where both sides are criticized. Yeah. In the case of the Christian, we can ask questions, pose to them. Maybe some Christianity, I don't know. Yeah, but we are used, you know, to dialoguing, and it's no problem. Yeah, but how central? But I'm raising question for you to take home. How central is the name Allah to Christian theology compared to what we have, say, in Islam? Do we realize that Islam has a sacred language, whereas Christianity does not have a sacred language? What is the implication for the use of the name Allah? All this, I've never heard. I've not heard. Maybe I didn't read the right thing, but I've not heard being raised in Malaysia. Yeah, what I'm concerned is, do not get back down with rights. What about the duty to that name, responsibility? Why are our Christian brothers, friends, are so, they really want to use the name? What is so important to theology? What in the case, how do you compare that in the case of Islam? Yeah. But then, this article question, including the first one, we are inviting people to Allah Ta'ala. And then we come to Allah, but don't use Allah. Please come to University of Malaya, but don't use the name University of Malaya. I'm saying that, I'm not saying I'm pro one or the other, but the issue is much broader and deeper, and that just got back down to that. Yeah, this is for the future of the whole Muslim, not just Malaysia. Yeah, precisely because of our responsibility to God. Why talk about Islam and future again? To impress upon the contemporary world that Islam in the past made many significant contributions to the creation of a lasting universal human civilization. Many young Muslims today, they don't know. Yeah? Let alone the Western people, they don't know. Yeah? They don't know. They have never heard, even though many things that they have, many things that they use, originate from Islam. Yeah? So to impress upon both Muslims and non-Muslims that Islam can play an important role in the construction of a common human civilization in the future. This is our current one. This is our current responsibility. How can we impress upon both Muslim and non-Muslim that Islam can play an important role? 1 out of every 5 people walking on earth is a Muslim. Soon it's going to be 1 out of every 4 people. That's what they say in terms of demography. Yeah. We are the fastest. We are the richest. The Ummah is very rich in natural resources, rich in legacy, cultural legacy, intellectual legacy. But how come we are marginalized? We are not, at least in terms of ideas of civilization, we are not that part of the mainstream. We don't call the shot. We don't set the agenda. It's too difficult for the political agenda. What about the academic agenda? At least the intellectual agenda, we can do something, inshallah. Now, go to various issues. Yeah. In order to talk about Islam and the future of human civilization, there are certain challenging issues that we have to address. Recently, I wanted my friend, Datuk Osman, to Brunei, to talk to Brunei people about that, what the future means for us, that challenge of being a knowledge society. I devoted 1 chapter in the book, but it is the identity of the Ummah to be a knowledge Ummah, knowledge community, precisely because La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah, is not just a statement of faith, it's a statement of knowledge. All knowledge, if we know, if we understand, all knowledge is contained in that statement, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. I think we need to reflect upon that. There's no knowledge that lies outside the two shahada. If you understand, then you see that is the identity. Yeah. So I listed here a number of issues. I listed a number of issues here. I cannot go into that, but just to invite you all to reflect upon this. The main reason is Islam, first of all, in the Quran. Yeah? There are so many verses in the Quran that deal with this, and then our intellectuals of the past, our scholars of the past, have dealt with this. Yeah? So we are not starting from scratch. That's why if we don't go, we are interested only going back to the roots, but forgetting the trunk, the branches, then we miss a lot. Yeah? A lot of our tradition. And the idea of part of the idea of my book is precisely to bring out some of these salient features of Islamic civilization, in the sense that that is the eternal message of Islamic civilization. The these issues are going to be more real in the future, and Islam can play here. First, for example, the future of planet Earth as man's only planetary home. What is the future of our planet? We live at a time when we have so much knowledge that we can see how the Earth looks like from outer space. Yeah? We live now. So you have people in the West talking about the future of the planet Earth. Recently, I was in Bangkok attending a conference on religion and climate change. Climate change is a good example of how our planet Earth has lost its balance. A traveling ship that has holes here and there, holes because passengers in the ship have done that. Korek lubang sana sini lah. So the ship is, is in trouble. But the point is, it's lost its balance. Yeah. So because of so much damage has been done to planet Earth, so as usual, some people, some human beings, they just want to run away. They create problem, they run away from that problem. Those who can afford. Those who can afford have to stay with the problem. But of those who, So Stephen Hawking said what? Well, let's go and colonize other planets. Yeah? To go to travel other planets, leaving us here. Leaving us here. But I mentioned in a number of my writings, that based on my understanding of the Quran, this Earth is our only planetary home. There is no other home. There is no other planet that can be, that is just simply like Earth. Yeah? Because so many verses in the Quran refer to the kind of care Allah gave to planet Earth, the various favors given to humanity. Yeah, this is. Metaphysically, is the question: why, out of so many planets, out of so many systems, God chose planet Earth to be the home? To be the home of the human species, of the Adamic race, Bani Adam. I think you should think about that. Yeah? But despite all that, in other words, the imagery of the home, of the house, yeah, of kind of very beautiful and protective roof. So God created the skies, the heavens, as roofs, and then the surface of the earth as your carpet, yeah, all that, yeah, and then adorned with all kinds of beautiful lights, that. So if you go and reflect that, yeah, why God spent so much on this planet Earth? Well, because it is for us. Because man is his best creature, his vicegerent, his Khalifa on earth. We have a responsibility, and we are tenants. We don't own the earth. We are tenants. God is the owner, but we forget that we are not the owner. We are just tenants to take care. Yeah, I think it's a new dimension of ecology that I'll talk about. I'll go with that. So Islam has got something to say. Yeah? Climate change is only the latest of that sign of imbalance, starting years ago. Yeah, remember about when we talk about the ozone layer? Yes, discussion of the ozone layer. The roof got some holes. our roof. Yeah. So then the fall of man. It's not our term; it's the Christian term in terms of DNA, but we know what it means. The fall of man. Well, there have been successive fall, not just one fall. Originally, the fall in the sense that Adam and Eve were expelled from the paradise, from garden. But then there was the second very, very important fall. Very, I'm sure you know that. What was that fall? That fall was the Copernican revolution. Copernican. Copernican revolution marked another fall of man. What do you mean by fall? It means you fall to the earth, to the ground, of course. You become more earthly, as you say. Yeah? You become less heavenly, you become more earthly. Remember, in the West, already before Copernican revolution, they have already expelled the angels from the cosmos. You see? We don't need angels. Who needs angels? We can explain the cosmos without resorting to them. Why have one more problem, one more duty to study about angels? We don't need. That's what they are. That was before the birth of modern science. But Copernican revolution, why Copernican revolution was a fall? Why is it a fall? It is a fall because, first of all, there was a change. There was a transformation in the thinking of Western man, of modern Western man, about the meaning of man and also the significance of an earth. Since the earth is no longer the center of the universe, but it is the sun that is the center of the universe, it means that man has lost his theomorphic status. His theomorphic status. In other words, that's it. That lost that spiritual dimension. Yeah? Man is purely reason and body, mind and body. So, in other words, the conception of man has become reduced further. So, man has become lesser and lesser, until finally another fall, our current fall. Again, Stephen Hawking said, you know what he said about artificial intelligence? He said, I'm afraid that our pursuit of artificial intelligence will lead us to a situation where our created artificial intelligence will be better than us, the creator. Astaghfirullahalazim. Yeah? That is the final fall. You can't have another fall. That's it. You have come to the final thing. When the created becomes more intelligent than the creator. Right? Is it possible, Tansri? but what should we do? We need to respond. Yeah? We need to respond. That based on all our tradition with regard to intelligence, the concept of intelligence. Then say the future challenge of diversity and pluralism. How to live together in a pluralistic world. The world has been pluralistic for a long time. Not new, many. But what makes our time different is that in terms of our, let's say, our physical, the physical separation. Yeah. Not so much the cultural separation, that has been, no. But the physical separation, no. We are brought together. Yeah. Our neighbor comes from another religion. Our office mate went to another region. Our factory worker, another region. Muslims see right in front of, the moment they get out of the house, they see places of worship other than their own. Before, when we got our house, we see it's the worship, the place of worship of our own, not of another. You think our human mind just ignore that? No, human mind, of course, it varies from person to person. People ask. So, plurality, diversity of religions are there staring at you. Your faith is being challenged. Your faith is being challenged. How do you respond? Create Raja out the best from religion? No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. But how to be committed to our own religion? So basically, what is the issue? The issue is how to live in a pluralistic world. The problem of diversity and pluralism. You think God doesn't know this? Astaghfirullahalazim. God knows this. God knows that there will be a time when Muslims have to live like this together. And that you live together as citizens. of a single country. Yeah? So how do you address that? What does it mean? What does challenge mean? Well, my response is that the Quran must have got something to say about this. Islam, the objective Islam, must have got something to say about this. Yeah. Some friends, asked me to say about this because the question of pluralism. In this very hall, several years ago, I gave a talk about Islamic perspective, Quranic perspective on pluralism. Now, no scholar, because I think the sensitivity is because some people think that when we talk about pluralism, we talk about equating religions. All religions are the same. But for scholars, for academics who study this phenomena, know very well there are dozens of definitions of pluralism. Not only one. My plea is to my friends and to those who misunderstand, yeah? Don't put all these definitions of pluralism in one basket. Yeah? Because if you mean by pluralism making all religions the same, then I have nothing to do with that. I don't believe in that. Not only that, I will criticize that view. I will criticize the view who says that all religions are the same. I told this to Exposito said, no scholar will stake out his neck and say that all religions are the same. Yeah? Because if you study all religions, how can you say religions are the same? Yeah? So maybe some understanding there. What I have said is this. There is such a thing as Islamic pluralism. Not many people use that, talk about that. Why? What do you mean by that? I said, since diversity and pluralism is going to be a more and more serious problem in the future, then Islam cannot be silent. Quran cannot be silent on this. Islam must have addressed this. It has addressed that to a certain extent before, in its treatment of the Ahlul Kitab, how Islam treats Ahlul Kitab. Yeah? Islam differentiates between Ahlul Kitab and the Mushrikun. It means that Islam has its own way of dealing with pluralism, not putting all numbers on the same basket. It's not. Yeah? So, there is that. So, my request, my call is that us, those who are dealing with this subject, really present the Islamic perspective. Yeah? So, and not, more than that, I'm saying compared to any other religion, compared to any other ideology, Islam has the best potential, has the best resources to deal with the problem of diversity and pluralism. And that is our duty, responsibility, as being the last revealed religion to mankind. Yeah? So, that. And then the future challenge of science and technology, my book deals a lot with this, of course. What's the problem with this? Well, science and technology for the last few hundred years have been cultivated, separated from religion. So the simple plea is, let us restore the role of spirituality and ethics in science and technology. Let us harmonize religion and science. What the future human civilization needs is to this reconciliation, yeah? This mutual benefit, the mutual relationship between religion. Religion can benefit from science, science can benefit from religion. I think that is what we need to do, not to separate the two. Yeah. The separation has been very, very faithful to humanity. Yeah? We have, as a result of that separation, we gain many things, but we lost many other things also. On balance, I think, from the viewpoint of religion, it's a negative thing. Okay, and then the challenge of societal disequilibrium, the place and role of the divine Sharia. This is also the talk of our society today, current, including in Malaysia. the challenge of societal equilibrium. Islam is interested in creating a society that is balanced. The identity of the Muslim Ummah is ummatan wasatan. That yang diterjemahkan sebagai wasatiyah. But the Quranic meaning of that is much more profound. There's no, yeah? So the identity of the Ummah. If you don't have that identity, if you are in kind of a very, very imbalanced kind of society, that will be contrary to the identity of the ummatan wasatan. Yeah? Balance. Now, what is making it possible for Islam to come up with this concept of societal equilibrium is the divine Sharia. But the problem is not for us, we have the duty. The real meaning of the Sharia is much broader, comprehensive. Yeah? It's not just as understood by some Muslims. The fact that is what can restore equilibrium is this Sharia. So, if some people, some groups in Malaysia want to discuss the role of the Sharia, fine, that's very good. It's very good. But we have to expand, we have to broaden the scope of that discussion and not just accept the meaning of Sharia as understood by some Muslims. We go back to the original meaning of that. Sharia, in the sense of the principles of the rules and regulations that, in a sense, for the whole of life, that governs the whole of human life, both individual and collective. Then, only in that, we can talk intelligently about this tension and conflict between maqasid and hudud. I think let us listen in a wise way to the arguments of both sides and then come up with this position, the balanced equilibrium position, because both are necessary. That's my view. Both are necessary, but not committing to the same meaning. I have different understanding. Because how can we eradicate the term hudud? The word hudud is in the Quran itself. And the meaning, the general meaning of hudud just means the limits. What hudud? Hudud means limits. Had, we know very well at the had laju. Hudud, the limits. There are limits to be observed in the world of nature. If we develop our natural resources up to the point of transgressing the natural limit, nature will fight back against us. And that's why we suffer from that in terms of the various climate change and so on. In a sense, there's a way of nature reacting against our own of human transgression. But you also have to observe the limits in the world of human being. This is more important. Sharia, we need Sharia here. How to, in a sense, observe the limits of human behavior. The Quran has it in various ways, through the various ways, through the ibadah that we do, through tazkiyah, the kind of cleaning process and so on. Yeah. So, but there are hudud that are man-made. There's something else. Yeah. Not to confuse between hudud set by God Himself, both in the world of nature and in the world of human being, and then the hudud set up either, but the rest set up by human beings of two kinds. Hudud, initiated by man, but based on the Quran, on the hudud, based on revelation. Yeah, because we have another hudud. You don't think that atheist people, secular people don't have hudud? They have a hudud of another kind. The fact is, no society can exist without hudud. Hudud in the general sense. Yeah. So even the communist countries also have hudud, have their hudud. The question now, which hudud for us? no society can be free of hudud. What is open to us is which kind of hudud is best for us. This is my conclusion, sorry. So, what do we need? Since we are having this talk in this IAIS, where is their pet project? Is Tashdid Hadari. Tashdid Hadari. My conclusion is this. The need for Tashdid and Ijtihad. But we must restore their universal meaning. In other words, if you talk about human civilization, then let that meaning for Tashdid and Ijtihad be not confined to Islam, to Islamic civilization, but rather for the whole human civilization. There is no Tashdid without Ijtihad. There is no Ijtihad without Tashdid. The two must go together. In the past, we talk about Tashdid, but maybe it's less reference to Ijtihad. Or we talk about Ijtihad, but then separate from Tashdid. That is my humble statement. So thank you very much for listening. I hope since many of us are in the final laps of our life, the final laps, so before we, let's say, let us pass this message to our children and our grandchildren, inshallah. So, okay, thank you. I want to thank all the organizers, the co-organizers, IAIS especially, and ABIM, and Pusat Dialogue, and IBT, and let's hope and pray to Allah Ta'ala that despite all what it seems, that 2015 will be a better year for us, inshallah. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Nak address question daripada sini ke ataupun duduk?
Boleh, sini boleh, jangan salah.